So hey everybody, and welcome to the FFL Solidity team call. My name is Marisa Maggio. Super excited to be on with you guys today as we're going into week 3 of 4 of October in terms of Family First Life. But without further ado, each and every week, I truly sit back and think, who can we hear from that it's really going to be beneficial, and you can get off this call with some things you can implement today, not this whole equation, but some things you can, in golden nuggets, you can implement today. And really, a person who's helped me to be kind of pivotal to see any success in telesales, and watching and plugging into his podcast have been amazing. So we have Ryan Reynolds on with us today. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully I can give you guys some nuggets to make some more gold nuggets.
Absolutely, and no doubt you will. And without further ado, Ryan, if you don't mind, just give us a quick introduction, kind of who you are, how you got into the industry, and why Family First Life.
Um, yeah, so my name is Ryan Reynolds, and I don't know, I have a son. He's 16 now. Got into the industry just because I was tired of being paycheck to paycheck. Went to school for video production, and it was job by job, and you make more money. So it was either this or mortgage brokering. And then I got into it originally to get over my fear of selling because I wanted to learn how to sell better in my video production company business. And then I just started making crazy money when you make, how much we make when we protect one family. I was like, this isn't that bad. You get to talk to people, fill out an application, and get paid a crazy amount for it. I'm kind of digging this. And so I just stayed here. So I've been here for 13, 14 years now, which is kind of wild to think about.
Absolutely. And kind of, great story and great background. I love how you said you wanted to get over your fear of selling, just because now listening to you train and just seeing your numbers, no doubt you got past that fear, like way past it. So love to see that. But you mentioned being in the industry now 13, 14 years. Prior to telesales, were you in home helping folks out?
Yeah, so I did the in-home for about 10 years. And then Grady was trying to recruit me into Family First Life for 3 years. I actually knew him in high school. And so eventually I was like, well, this thing's growing. You can't beat him, join him, right?
Right.
So I'm over here. And yeah, when I came over, I said, hey, I want to conquer this telesales thing. I know there were some people doing Zoom, but I just got kind of bored of driving out to people's houses all the time. I was like, let me see if there's a different way to do it. And went into telesales, and again, fearful, failed a lot. That's part of learning. And then eventually got to a point where I figured it out. And now we got a whole company doing a lot of it. I think half of us are doing telesales now. So
Absolutely. Well, no doubt, you made a huge change. And like you said, with the change, it comes, different questions are asked and brought about in terms of your actual mindset. Now, going into telesales from being in the field, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced, or you now see kind of new agents facing as they're going into telesales, that you feel like are important for people to just be aware of?
well, like anything, starting something off, you're gonna be a little nervous. And so that voice, that tonality is gonna come across that way. Um, I was really trying to close deals kind of too hard, put too much pressure on them, come off kind of salesy. Now I'm kind of more transactional, like, hey, my job is to find out which plan works best for you and then put a policy in today. It's very transactional. When you're in the home, you can be more personable, you know, talk about their pets, or hey, that's a great picture you got over there. In telesales, it can come off very needy and salesy, like they don't trust you. So it's kind of pulling back the niceties of it and really being more of a field underwriter. I was talking with an agent today about it. Whether are you coming off as a sales agent, and that's kind of like extra friendly and this and that and blah blah blah, or are you coming off as a field underwriter? And a field underwriter is just, this is my job, right? My job is to shop for you, figure out the best plan, and then see if I can get you qualified. It's very more direct and straightforward. So, the best way to look at is if you've done some in-home, you want to basically cut out half of what you would normally say in an in-home to do a telesales. So it's more direct and to the point.
Absolutely. And I think that that's huge. I know that for me, tonality wise, I was so awkward my first week. Like you would have you definitely would have hung up on me. Like I would have hung up on me. Everybody should have hung up on me, by the way. So tonality is huge, right? Because I was trying to be like all peppy and steppy, and that doesn't really work, right? Like you said, you truly have to be that field underwriter. Like, this is my job. I show you what you qualify for, and we kind of move on. So it is much more transactional. So kind of feeling that out from in-home to telesales and just being able to see it, like for myself, has been huge. But it's also kind of revealed to me, hey, a lot of times, like it's just tonality that needs to be changed. Whether that's in-home or on the phone, tonality is huge. It's how you connect, verbally, so to say. And it's going to be the biggest thing when you're doing telesales. So I love that you brought that up. Now, Ryan, what are you predominantly working right now in terms of like leads?
Mortgage protection, although I don't know if it's the best lead right now. The
That's
industry,
fair.
yeah, it's if you can work something besides that, final expense or life insurance or IULs, that's what I'd recommend unless you're getting some age mortgage protection leads. The thing is that mortgage protection is tied to the economy. And so, the people that are refinancing houses right now, if you're not financially savvy or thinking about your future, it's not a good time to be buying a house. With the interest rates, they've been climbing, the prices of houses are starting to kind of go down again. So it's not really the best time to be a buyer. And so the people that are refinancing and buying probably aren't the most logical, intelligent people that think about protecting their future or making good financial decisions. So you trying to kind of tell them like, hey, you got a house that's growing in value, what are we going to do to protect it? It's a little more difficult to get through to those kind of people since, educated people probably wouldn't be purchasing a house or refinancing right now anyways. Okay. But you have to remember that someone convinced them to do so, some sort of mortgage broker. So they still can be sold, but using logic's probably not going to work so well for them as far as planning on the future. So you got to think of some other angles to try to get through to them. Okay. And at the end of the day, I mean, everything's just about need. This is an emotional sale. I think that when we're talking about being a field underwriter versus a sales agent, sales agents are telling them why they wanted or why they should get it. Field underwriters are engaging with questions, question, trying to figure out, how this is going to help them. Right. So try to think, are you ending all of your statements or are you ending everything you say with a question? How many questions are you asking? But the more questions you ask, the more sales you're going to make. And it makes you're a field underwriter now. You're not trying to convince them whether they should get it or not. You're trying to ask them why they should get it. There was a big statement. One of my agents called me today and said, what do you do about the kid thing? You guys ever got like, hey, I need to talk to my kids about this? You guys ever got that?
Yeah.
Right. And we can make statements. And go, oh, well, this isn't your kid's decision. It's your decision. This is really important to have in place or whatever the case you want to be. You can be a sales agent, right? But a field underwriter is going to engage that with questions, right? So as soon as you say the kids, okay, awesome, your kids. Did you want your last memory of you to be your kids going into debt? Or did you want them to have all your debt covered? Which one do you think is a better idea? Do you think it's your kid's responsibility to pay for your final expenses? Or do you feel like it's your responsibility? Okay, yours. Why do you think it's your responsibility? What do you want the last memory of you to be for your kids? Do you think this is a gift? If so, do you think it's a gift you want to give to your kids? Why do you need to ask your kids if you want to give them a gift? Do you call them on Christmas and go, hey, mom, is it okay if I buy you a present? No, it's a gift, right? So just engaging with lots of questions. is the key to breaking down all your rebuttals. Try not to make statements, but give them either or and point in the right direction.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that that's just applicable across the board. If you're not asking the most questions, you're probably going to quote unquote lose or not be able to help that family out. Now, Ryan, you know just as well as I do, being on the phone, there's going to be certain places that you want to make sure you really hit on in the presentation. For you, like what would you say kind of those pieces are that you definitely want to make sure, hey, before I'm, showing options, so to say, or however you go about that, I want to make sure I hit on A, B, and C, because at the end, that way I'm making sure I'm not getting an objection.
Yep. There's four of them. So, every single presentation, there's 4 objections that you need to conquer before you're asking medical questions, before you're giving options. I guess just before you give options. I mean, if you want to ask your medical questions up front, that's fine. But you just got to get rid of these 4 objections. So the first one, number 1, is the need, right? And a lot of us sell on this, I like to call it a bullshit line. You guys shouldn't be doing this. You can use this if you want to kind of like take some pressure off, but you don't use this as your close. Hey, we can't decide today, so we got 30 days. Let's just submit, see if we get approved, decide later. Okay, that's not selling insurance. Okay, that's not being a medical field underwriter. Medical field underwriter is like a detective. So instead, you got to focus on the need, right? You got to engage with lots of questions, find the need. That's number 1. If there's no need for it, then they're going to cancel it, right? So, like in that circumstance with someone says, I need to talk to my kids about it. Some of you guys might go, oh, well, how long do you need to talk to your kids? Oh, a week. Oh, well, we're not going to find out for a week if you're approved. So let's go ahead and submit this and then we can decide later. That's a cancel, right? Instead, you got to find the need where I re-engage them with questions. Oh, I think that's smart to talk to your kids. Why do you need to talk to your kids? Do you think it's your kid's responsibility to cover your final expenses? Would you want your last memory of you to be that you left in debt? Why do you think it's their responsibility? Why do you think it's your responsibility? Those kind of questions that kind of find that need, right? What kind of gift would you want to leave your kids? Do you understand that it gets more expensive the older you wait? Do you understand that you procrastinated already to 72? Are you done procrastinating, right? So finding the need. Okay, that's number 1. Got to find that need. And you can't give any options until you have it come out of that client's mouth that, yes, I understand, and I need to get something in place. I mean, if you're not getting that answer from your client, there's 0 point to give them options. You're just spinning circles and wasting your time or writing a policy that's going to be canceled, period. Right. Number 2, so number 1 reason people don't buy, they don't see a need in it, right? So you got to ask questions, find the need. Number 2 is going to be shopping. People don't understand the process and how it works. That's understandable. We've been told to get bids and options our whole entire life, right? Like, hey, it's a construction guy. Let me get 3 different bids, see who's the cheapest. But they don't understand that insurance doesn't work that way, that prices are fixed by law, that it's based on age, and that we are brokers. So we're exactly the same as anyone else they talk to. We have access to every single carrier that any other person does. So we need to get rid of that shopping objection, right? Another big one is getting rid of the think about it, right? Which is huge. So the thing about it, I love the dialogue that I have for that one, and you can download it anytime on my website at fulfillrush.com, the script. But that one was really, really kind of difficult to deal with, especially with telesales, because everyone wants to say, "Oh, I think about it," blah 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 blah. But you just gotta get rid of the think about it before it happens, okay? And that's pretty easy. Explain the process. Hey, this is not something you can buy. Okay, you have to be qualified for it. Okay, so my job is pretty simple. That's why we're talking today. I'm going to shop all the carriers, find out the lowest cost carrier, give you a couple options, and then we're going to find one that fits your budget, and then we're going to submit an application or request, see if we can get you approved. That's going to take about 7 days. Okay, at that 7-day mark, if you get approved, great. That's kind of the goal here. They're going to give you a whole month to make any changes. So if you're not really sure which plan you want, we got a month to figure it out. But let's see if we can get you approved first. Okay. All right. Now, if we don't find something you like, Usually it's budget. So just let me know. We can customize this because something's better than nothing. Everyone can afford something to protect their family. Okay. So let me know. We can keep adjusting it. If we still don't find something that works, we're going to close the case. We do not do second appointments. We do not need to, for the simple reason you're not buying anything now, and we don't know if you can buy it until we apply. Okay, so no second appointments. Does that make sense? Why? Do you have any questions on why we don't need to do a second appointment? Okay, because we can pick any plan in your budget. We don't even know if you can buy it yet. Okay, so we're jumping the gun here. So no second appointments. Make sense? Got it. Great.
Yeah.
Then we got to get rid of the three. The main thing is the banking. People don't trust to give out their banking information. Not because they're dumb. It's just because we've been told not to trust people. And
Right.
so they don't really take the time to actually process what a routing account number is, right? And how it works and why that's the dumbest thing ever that you think I could get a routing account number and go to Disneyland on it. You know, they don't understand, right? So our job is to kind of explain it, right? Hey, so there's going to be three things before we continue. I just need to make sure you have these three things on you. I don't need them right now, but I need to make sure you can grab them here in the next 15 minutes so I can proceed. First thing's a driver's license. We use that for a background check. Do you have access to a driver's license and can you grab one later?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Next thing's a social. We need that to go on your death certificate. So the policy pays out tax-free. Do you have access to a social? Yes.
Yep.
I think I used to say to check your medical, but now lately we're doing tax-free. I think it sounds good. Like, oh, don't you want it tax-free? Like, come on. Yeah. So
You're right.
tax-free. And those are just leading up to the bank account. And then we need a routing and account number. The reason being is to pay for your policy, so your family's protected. Okay, they do not take debit cards. Okay, they're not secure methods of payment. People can purchase things online with a debit card. What they do take is a routing account number. Reason being, they're secure. In 2023, you can hand a check to a stranger with your name and your address and your routing account number at the bottom. They can't use those numbers to go buy stuff or withdraw money. Okay, so that's why they're secure methods of payment. Do you have access to a routing account number? Can you pull it up later in 15 minutes or so? Yes. All right. Any questions on those? No. Okay. So we're eliminating all of our objections, right? So we got getting rid of our think about it, getting rid of shopping, finding our need. The fourth one is trust, but trust, I think, comes with skill set, confidence in how you approach. I used to make a big deal about my underwriting number and send it to them and go, hey, you can look me up Department of Insurance. But the way I thought about it psychologically was if I'm making a big deal to the client, then the client can think other people might be making a big deal of this as well. Right. Otherwise, why would I be talking about it? I'm only going to talk about things that other concerns might have come up from previous clients. So if I make it not a concern and make it like it's not a big deal, then they typically think it's not a big deal either. So just like assuming like, duh, I'm a medical underwriter. This is my job. Like, duh.
Right. This is what I do every day. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Very matter of fact.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of that trust factor is just going to come, when you're a new agent because you haven't put enough reps. Do the thing you fear, the death of fear is certain. The more reps you do, the more confident you're going to become. And the more confident you are, the more trust they have for you.
I love that. And you hit on so many different things in terms of objections you want to basically overcome, but you overcome them like all together, right? It's just like what you're saying, like your in-home is cut in half, but you're leaving the most important parts still in there, right? Or inserting, a different piece, so to say. In terms of secure method of payment, I feel like that's where folks get like the most kickback. And when I use that, because like I told you, Ryan, I've been watching a ton of your podcasts and they've been extremely helpful. I said that and really butchered it, by the way, yesterday to a gentleman. I was like, he's like, well, I can't give you my Visa number. And I was like, well, if you did that, I could go on the internet and I could go shopping. Not that I would do that, but with your routing and account number, it's a secure method of payment, and explained it to him. Now I brought Robert back down to earth and I helped him out. But at the same time, guys, it's like, I didn't know really exactly what to say, right? In that particular circumstance. but I had heard Ryan say it on so many calls that it allowed me to insert it the way that I would say it, right? So it's repetition is going to help you get there. And
And
then I also like, go ahead.
I think it's good too, guys, that sometimes a simple no just works as well. Like, these are the rules. I don't make them up, I follow them. No, we do not take debit cards. We take routing
Right.
account numbers. That's all we can take. That's all every insurance carrier takes, period. So
Yep.
that's what we
And I heard this
need.
recently, Ryan, like no is a full
No.
sentence. Right. Right.
For
Like no
sure.
is a full sentence, right? Like no. It's almost like when you do that on the phone, like people are just like, okay, and usually move on, right? So direct approach, yep, Rami, always wins. So and even in terms of you took shopping around off the table, right? I love how you talk about essentially I'm a broker, that's my job is to shop around for you, get you the lowest rate. You took so no one's thinking about it. And I love how you talked about we don't do second appointments. Now, one huge mistake that I made and still working on was I would be like, okay, Ryan, you got to think about it. All right, well, the insurance company is going to hold the offer 48 hours, can follow up. Like, how many people do you think answered the phone when I called them back? None,
Not
right?
many.
Like, yeah, like none, right? Like that was the worst approach ever, right? But
Yeah.
it's like you got to learn to get through that. So really, I love that we don't do second appointments, right? Because we're not actually getting something. We need to apply for it to make sure you even qualify. So those things are really important. One other thing I did just want to hit on, I think is also important, is the activity that you would do as a field agent that's running in home versus the activity that you do as an agent that's full-time telesales looks a lot different. Ryan, will you talk to us a little bit about kind of either schedule or expectations that you have for yourself day in and day out?
Um, yeah, something I have been slacking on, which, humbleness is part of part of growing, is studying, right? You got to have your study time, man. And when you're not studying videos or getting reminded of what to do correctly or watching other people being successful, your numbers kind of start to slip. But it's pretty simple. You got to write out a schedule. I mean, if you're doing face to face, I think you can get away with less appointments. But then you got drive time, right? So they're both probably equal as far as like amount of work ethic, because you gotta buy a little more leads, set a little more appointments, to do it. But when it comes to telesales, there's really three routes. You can either call people all day and I start at 7 in the morning and I dial till 12, take a lunch break from 12 to 1, and then I dial from 1 to 6, right? But you have to have a schedule that you stick to consistently. And on that schedule, you can do one call closes. And then if you have to, set the appointment. But the key to setting appointments is doing it either the same day or the next day, never going past 24 hours. Face to face, you can do 48 hours. Telesales, you got to do 24 hours. So it's either that day or the next day for setting that appointment. So that's one method. A lot of people are very successful just having their dial start time and their stop time, and dial start time, stop time, doing one call closes. The other method is you can dial in the morning and then set appointments for the afternoon and just do that every day. So maybe it start at 7 or start at 10, whatever you want. And I dial for 4 hours and I set my appointments for the evening for those 4 hours. And so when people go, oh, can you do it right now? Actually, right now I got other calls to make, but I can do it this afternoon. Right. And that's your daily schedule. Another way you can do it is just like the field, right? You can dial on Mondays, set your appointments for Tuesdays, dial on Wednesday, set it for Thursday, dial on Friday, set it for Saturday. I like that method better than dialing on Monday, setting for Tuesday, Wednesday. I just feel like the appointments that are set out 48 hours, the no-show rates go way up. Okay.
Absolutely. And
So
right now, are you one call closing or are you setting up appointments?
I'm setting appointments.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why did you decide to go that way?
With me, I have really bad ADD, so it just helps me to focus on one task at a time. So I'm just
Fair
like,
enough.
this is dial zone, this is presentation zone. I got kind of too mixed up all over the place. And I like to control my schedule a little bit better. But I love it. The nice thing about telesales is I was coming back, sometimes driving like 3 hours, from appointments, staying in overnight in a hotel and get back at 1 in the morning. I'm off by 7 every day because I'm dialing East Coast leads and I'm in the West Coast. So that's kind of convenient as well.
Absolutely. Utilizing those different time zones. And I think no matter what you're doing in terms of the insurance industry, you have to have that schedule written out. If not, you're basically planning to fail. Like without any type of format or schedule, you just have to have that done. And I love how you said like be realistic, right? Like implement a stop time. Like this is the time I stop dialing, right? Or this is the time I stop doing appointments. That way
And
you're
study
not
time.
what
Study
would you say?
time too. You got to have your study time in that schedule. Like, personally, I'd recommend you start off with, one of my podcasts in the morning. Watch one of those before you go to work. Listen to it at the gym or whatever. Get your head in the right mindset before you start your day. And I tell you, you'll make double if you start your day off watching some sort of podcast that's about insurance. You will make double the money because it's going to set your brain up to be kind of in that right mindset for sure.
Absolutely. And that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And you got to be a student of the business, even being in the industry 7, 8 years now, it's like, I'm not confused that I still need to show up and study every single day. So be a student of the business, guys. And now, Ryan, in terms of your team and, when you're building and recruiting, who do you, or what helps you dictate who you want to hire versus who you don't want to hire?
You know, that's kind of a tough question, but because you never know who's going to actually be good or not good at it. But generally speaking, is this a person that I would want to have a beer with? you know, if they sound annoying to you, is that probably someone you're going to enjoy working with? So, is this a person I'd have a beer with? Is this a person I could trust? Is this a person I like hanging out with? Right. I think that's a good one. Not just hire anybody, everybody, and then seeing how much money they have. They got to have enough money to start this business and be realistic about it. 1,000 bucks, $2,000, but someone that has $100 to their name or $50 to their name, they're not ready to be a business owner yet. Like, you can't go to college with that amount. You're trying to start a business. Like, you got to upgrade your life at some point by investing in yourself, and that takes some money. So I think those are two really easy ones. Do you have the money to invest? And is this someone I'd have a beer with? That's my answer to that.
And I love that answer because it really does come back to it's like when your phone rings and it rings, John, and you're like, oh man, John's calling again. Like, right. And you're like, oh, you're like bracing yourself. Like that's not, like you probably shouldn't have brought John in with your group because you and John might not really get along well at all. Now, on the other hand, if that person you answer the phone or they call you and you're answering the phone and they're moving and grooving, so to say, you're probably going to correlate their name with a better and more positive response. So if you come in and you do what you said you're going to do, so to say, I want to hang out with you, right? Just like Ryan just said. And then also just the willingness to invest. It's a business. Like when I came in, no one was like, oh, you don't need to buy leads. Like we're gonna do it. Like, it's like you want to have that hat on your new recruit or on that new agent because guys, at the end of the day, you're starting your own business, whether you think you are or you think you aren't. And what I mean by that is being self-employed, you're a business owner. Like right that day, like you are a business owner, whether you wanted to be or you didn't. So you have to understand when you're coming into this business, it's exactly that. It is a business, right? So that's huge. And
Some big
now,
things you want to look for too is are they talking a lot? Are they more of a listener, or are they talking over you? Talkers are ego problems. You can't train someone that doesn't listen. Like they want to tell you how to do the business. It's like I kind of figured it out. If you just listen, I'll tell you. Like, so look if who has more minutes in your interview of deciding about this. Are they engaging with questions and listening? Are they curious? If they're talking more than you, don't hire them. That's person's never going to make it. Okay, you got to be humble for knowledge, and so that's a big one. They're talkers. Don't bring them on for sure.
right. It just might make your life a little bit harder. And I love how you said that listening versus talking over you, right? Where again, goes back to students of the business. If somebody walks in with an ego, like they're probably going to keep that ego really close to them and it's going to hurt them. And eventually it's going to hurt you too as the upline, right? If you're like, it's me, I'm the reason. It's like, to be honest, and I love everybody on this call, but we're all the reason why where we are today. Like we're the reason, like nobody else is. Like we decided what we were or weren't going to do, and that's why we are where we are today, right? Not that you can't turn that around. That's the point of life, right? So I love how you hit on that too. Basically, coachability, right? Got to be there. Um, Now, Ryan, one thing I would like to do, if you don't mind, is a quick role play. Just kind of throw a couple of objections at you. I can be any lead type, whatever you got to do. Would just love to kind of hear it.
Yeah, sure. What I mean, you tell me what do you want to do?
Let's rock with like a final expense appointment.
Okay. I mean, I don't really sell final expense, but I'll wing it the best way I can.
All right, let's do
Let's do
a
final
mortgage.
expense. No, let's do final expense.
All
Why
right,
not?
cool.
But the point is, guys, is that they're all the same. The only thing you're changing is the word mortgage protection to final expense and asking need questions a little bit differently. But the approach is the same no matter what. Life insurance is about income replacement. Final expenses, covering any expenses that can occur when you pass away, your last expenses. And mortgage protection is protecting an asset. So the presentation is exactly the same for all of them, really. You're just asking different need questions. That's the only difference.
Absolutely, makes complete sense for sure. All right.
You want to just start off with a presentation or with a setting
So
appointment?
yeah, you're calling me for our scheduled appointment.
Scheduling appointment? Okay.
Yeah, like you're calling me, you already scheduled the appointment, and now I'm
Oh,
picking up.
doing the presentation. All right.
You
Cool.
got it.
All right. Hey, Marissa, it's Ryan calling you for our scheduled appointment today. Discuss that final expense.
How are you doing?
Good, good. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Great, great. Hey, can you grab a pen and paper? We're going to take some notes today.
Okay, I have one.
Perfect. Okay. So what I'm called is a medical field underwriter, and basically allows me to shop all the A-rated companies for you nationwide. So companies you've heard of before, like Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Aetna, Aflac, etc. The list goes on. So we'll shop all those carriers in your state all at once and kind of see which carrier is going to give you the best rate. Okay. And each carrier rates people differently based on their prescriptions, based on their age, smoker, non-smoker, height, weight, what have you, right? So my job today is to make sure we get you the company gives you the lowest cost available, and then we'll design a couple different plans around that company that fit different budgets, different needs. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So when you fill out the form, what was your concern? Why'd you decide you want to look into final expense?
I just retired and I didn't know that I was gonna lose my work insurance. So I'm just looking into it.
Gotcha. Kind of seeing how it works, what the cost is, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of what makes the cost go up?
I think it's your age, right?
Right. Yep. Age is one of them. What else do you think it is?
Probably your health.
Yep. Health as well. So I have about 15 appointments every day. And unfortunately, this is the bad part of my job. I have to tell two people every day that they don't qualify for coverage because they waited too long. Right. So the key to this stuff is to try to get it as soon as you can, because once you get approved on it, you lock in your premium and then that stays the same for the rest of your life. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of people wait till they're older and then it's more expensive and they can't afford it, or they wait until they're unhealthy, right? They're like, oh, I just got cancer. Now I'm only looking at insurance. Well, now your rates are 4 times higher or you're disqualified, right? So the key is kind of acting on this as soon as you can and getting something in place so it's cost effective, and then you lock in your rate. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if you passed away, Marissa, who would take on that burden of the expenses?
Probably my sister.
Your sister? Okay. And then are you planning on being buried or cremated or not really sure?
Not really sure to be honest.
Okay. Well, final expenses, it covers a lot of things. Okay. It's not just funeral expenses. It's any of those extra bills that's going to be left to your family or your sister. It could be, if she has to take time off work, right? Fly out. Maybe I know the celebration of life isn't for you, but it's for them. They're the ones mourning, right? Maybe it's throwing some catering partying. Maybe you die in a hospital and to transport the body, it's $2,000, right? Maybe it's you want to leave a little gift for some of your nephews or nieces. Okay. Maybe it's, doing a celebration of life on a cruise ship. I've had a lot of people do that. That's kind of cool. They're like, I'm gone, but I want to leave my last I love you to take my whole family on a cruise and let that be the celebration of life, right? So there's all these extra expenses that can occur. When my stepdad passed away, we had an in-home nurse for the final month, and that was 8 grand, right? So there's a lot of things we just don't think of. It's just making sure we don't leave any of that burden or that extra financial cost on our family, when they're going through that grieving process. So I guess the question for you would be, do you think it's your responsibility to cover any of those final expenses, or do you think it's your sister's?
No, I think it's mine.
Okay, that's a good gift. I mean, I feel the same way as well. And the key thing we want to think about too is, you seem like you're pretty young. What's your age right now?
65.
65. Okay. Do you have a plan on when you're going to die? Do you know when you're going to die?
I don't.
Okay. Well, the thing we want to consider too is anything we look at today is going to be about half in 20 years. So if we think $10,000 is enough right now to cover all those expenses, and by the time you're 85 in 20 years, or with inflation going the way it's going, maybe 15 years because inflation's going crazy right now, but it's going to be worth 5,000. So we kind of want to always focus on getting as much as we can afford at the lowest cost, so we don't have to relook at this later when it's 3 or 4 or 5 times more expensive. Does that make sense? Kind of how inflation works.
Yeah, it does.
If we think about the cost of milk, right? It's like $5 now or something. 20 years
Right.
ago, was it like $1.50? So we can imagine, $10,000 might help out us now if I die tomorrow at 65, but by the time I get to be 85, it's probably not gonna be quite enough. Is that making
That
sense?
makes sense. Yeah.
Um, so basically your concern is of not getting a policy today would be just budget.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is there a certain budget range you want me to stay in to kind of make sure we're not tipping the scale there?
Not particularly. I just want to make sure that it's gonna cover what it has to. I don't want her to have to go through, any type of income loss on her end.
Okay. So yeah, maybe we'll look at like a 30,000, 25,000, 20,000, somewhere in that range, and we'll kind of see what the cost is and see what comes back the lowest. Does that sound about fair?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So I got rid of the shopping, right? Found the need. Okay, engaging with questions. And then you just go into the get rid of think about, which we just did earlier. I mean, I can do it again if you want. But so now it's, hey, this is not something you can buy, Marissa. Okay. This is something you have to qualify for. All right. So my job is to find the lowest cost, figure out the right plan for you, fits the budget, and then help you submit a request to see if we can get you approved. That process takes about 7 days before they give us an answer. Um, After that, if you get approved, they give you a month to make changes to it. So we have lots of flexibility if you're not sure which plan you want. If we don't find a plan that you like, typically it's budget. Speak up. Something is always better than nothing for your family, especially as your last I love you is leaving them, a financial gift to help them out and not do car washes. Okay. So just speak up on that. If you still don't want a policy at that point, we close the case. We do not need to do second appointments. In fact, they won't let me do a second appointment. The reason being is we don't know if you can even get approved first. Okay. So it doesn't make sense to think about something we don't know we can buy. Does
Right.
that make sense?
It is, yeah.
And so either let me know which plan works for you, let me know if we need to lower the cost, or let me know if we need to close the case. But that's kind of what we're going to decide today. Okay. Is that making sense?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. There is 3 things that are required to apply for a policy. I don't need them right now. Just want to make sure you have them on you. But there's a driver's license that's used for background check. Do you have access to a driver's license that you can get later?
Yes,
Okay. Next thing is a social. They use that, goes on your death certificates. The policy pays out tax free. Do you know your social?
I do.
Okay. And then the last thing is a secure method of payment to pay for your insurance, right? Okay. Now they don't take debit cards because they're not secure methods of payment. What they do take is routing account numbers. Those are secure. You can hand a check to a stranger with your routing account number at the bottom. They can't use those numbers to go buy stuff or withdraw money. Okay. So that's why they're secure. Do you know your routing account number? Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. Any questions on any of those? Any concerns on anything?
No, no.
All right. Perfect. Well, let's see what's available here. Now, as far as the medical questions, I need you to ask me to be honest with me. Okay. They are
Okay.
going to check this stuff. They're going to pull your prescription report, see everything that you're taking. So if you don't tell me something, I'm going to write something that's going to get declined. Okay. So can you be honest?
Yes, I will.
All right, perfect. So as far as prescriptions goes, when they pull that prescription record, which they will, what will they see on there? What are you currently taking?
They should just see my lisinopril, 10 milligrams for blood pressure.
All right, the rest is that, right? You fill out the medical questionnaire, and then you give them some options, and you can pick your method. You can go, this is the gold, silver, bronze. You can go, hey, how's this 30,000 working for you? Do we need to adjust anything? You can say, which one do you think will work best for you? You can say,
Right.
we can't make a decision right now because we don't know if you're going to qualify, but if you could, which one of these makes the most sense for you financially and also to protect your family? Whatever you want to do. And then you shut up. Shut up is key. You got to be quiet for about 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. Give them some time to think. Well, that's silent.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a big part of it too, is like you said, give them some time to think, right? Like sometimes on the phone, because you can't see them, it's like almost like you with me, Ryan? And like they're with you, like they just need a second to take a look at what you just showed them. Um,
Silence
Heather,
is confidence, by the way. Silence is confidence.
amen to
Confidence.
that.
Yeah.
That's
So
huge.
don't be afraid to that. If you speak too early, it's insecurity. So just silence is okay. It's okay to be silent.
Right. And Ryan, if they say I don't have a routing and account number, I'm on SSDI, I use my card for everything. You just rock with that, knowing you're gonna go direct express.
Yeah.
Okay,
That, I'm
cool.
gonna find
Love it.
that out. Exactly. So it's like, all right, I just gotta go prosperity. Well, we only that limits some of the carriers, but we do have some great ones still. We'll do some shopping still. So we'll see what's available here.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, the key too, I mean, when you're presenting, your options, obviously one thing you guys can do is like share, like a sheet. There's some sheets on FFL America, or you guys probably have them too, and kind of read those points, but you want to hit it home like, hey, this is a permanent policy. It lasts forever, voids probate, pays out tax free. The rate stays the same forever, regardless of your health. The coverage stays the same, builds cash value. If it lasts forever, what are the chances of it paying out? 100%. So, just stuff like that, like build up the value of your product you're offering.
Absolutely. And through that whole role play, it's almost like you prepped me and prepared me for like exactly what we were gonna do. And you didn't sound too like, I'm really excited to do this. Like you sounded more like, hey, we're gonna bang this out. You did share a quick personal story, right, about your stepdad in the beginning, which that's helpful, right, for people to understand, hey, we think, you might think you're gonna go out this way, but we don't know what it's gonna look like. I like how you also asked me, do you know when you're gonna die? Right. Like I think like if you can flat out, like no one's gonna be like, yeah, I know. Like you might get that one person, right?
Oh,
Like
you'll get them. They're like, oh, I know, I'm tied 100. My
right.
response is like, awesome. I never met a genie. What are the lotto numbers tomorrow so I can be rich?
There we go. You're like, that's what we actually need. And also I love how you said life insurance essentially, guys, it doesn't matter what it is, it's gonna act as an income replacement. Whether it's for final expenses, it's for mortgage, it's for actual income replacement, whatever the quote unquote concept is that you're pitching, life insurance at the end of the day is just income replacement for said family member or whatever the situation may be. So Ryan, I can't thank you enough. You hit like this like home,
I
and
like,
just your actual approach is amazing.
yeah, I like this approach, guys, too. I mean, if you can use the life acronym, which I mean, I do mortgage protection, so I usually focus on that, but honestly, I should probably do it more often. But the life approach. L stands for loans. So you go, hey, we're doing needs analysis today. So we can find, I'm obligated to show you your max coverage you need to cover all your bases. So let's add up your loans. L stands for loans, LIFE. And you add up their mortgage loans, car loans, student loans, credit card loans. You add all that up, right? And you get a total. I is income. You want to replace your income for 3 to 5 years. And then F is final expenses. We want to have 30 grand for any kind of extra expenses that happen when we pass away. And then E is education. If you have kids, you want to have like 100 grand for each kid to either A, go to college or trade school or start a business. And so when you add it up, you're like, looks like we need 1.2 million they're like, why a work policy? Like, all right, well, your work policy is only 200,000, so we're shy of $1 million. So, we got room. We need more coverage. Okay. So that's a really good acronym to kind of generalize everything all at once, one big thing.
I like that a lot. And that's great for just actually like pretty much any lead that you're having a hard time breaking down, like, where's the need, right? Sometimes you keep asking questions and the person's kind of like dancing around them. When you go right to that approach, that acronym life, loans, income, final expenses, education, you're going to be able to find the need and, hit it home, so to say. So that's awesome, Ryan. Thank you for sharing that too.
Needs
Um,
analysis. I like the word needs analysis. So we got to do a needs analysis.
I like that too. It sounds important.
Yeah.
All right. And then before we hop off today, anything else that you would give advice to a new agent, maybe someone that's struggling in telesales or just getting started?
I don't know. I would say question every rebuttal, question every no sale of what you could do to get better. Those are the people that are successful. I know Marissa does that every time. I know I do it every time. I know all the top producers do that every time. You have to be humble to know that, yes, you can't win them all. I mean, we've all talked to idiots. I've talked to tons of them. That's the sad part about this job is you got to talk to idiots sometimes. That's the bummer part. But, approach everything like, why is this person saying that? What am I not doing that's being more clear? And then engage with questions and then follow the advice. There's so many people that go through this like a robot, not trying to improve. So you have to always humble yourself and ask questions and take it as your fault, right? Take it as your fault and humble to that and how it can get better. But I think that's such a key. And, so many agents that I've trained, they ask questions and then they don't follow advice after either. They do the opposite. It's like, I give you the answer. I just got to apply it. I just got to actually do that. So I think those are two big ones. And then obviously self-discipline. Guys, if you don't have your start and stop schedule for studying time and dial time, say goodbye. Like, go do something else. It's not going to work out. I'm sorry. That's the magic trick. You got to have self-discipline in this business.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that anymore. Question every no sale, question every rebuttal, and ask yourself, hey, what could I be doing better? What could I have done better on that call or in that home or on that phone call, whatever it might be. Be a true student of the business. And like Ryan's saying, carve that time out, start, stop, not only for dials, appointments, do it for study time. I think that's huge. So Ryan, I can't thank you enough for being on with us today. Definitely got a bunch of golden nuggets. I appreciate you and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys. Go to
Thank
work.
you.
Got this, guys. Keep it
Let's
positive.
kill it. Take
All right.
care. Bye, Ryan.